to use your DAO software, more power.
The safe snap's pretty sweet too. Yeah. It's pretty cool setup. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's as cool as Gardens for actually running a DAO, but it's a good solution. It's better than most.
Yeah, agreed.
So they're doing that. They might actually do a Gardens later, but that will be a safe snap decision. So they're sprinting. They're going to launch before us for sure, and they're going to have the same liquidity mining program as us.
Cool.
That means that we will want to revisit, no matter what we decide now. We'd be dumb to not revisit our decision later. The main things that are blocking us is really, and that I don't think we're going to get major data from on DAppNode, is, well, we might get some, is the lockup time and the percent that we allocate at.
Are they going to have a lockup?
Yeah, they're well. Actually, Lauren, you're more up to date on what's going on. Are they going to do a node stream?
Yeah, they're going to do a node stream. Everything's the same. They're going to have the node stream for the drop, and then also for their liquidity mining rewards. And they're calling it node stream. And then where it's held,
I was going to say, I love that.
Right? Yeah. And then the place that it's held, the locked portion is going in the reservoir. It's the node reservoir. I think it's so great.
It's so much better than lockup. Yeah, that was a great call.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely. So Giveth has been allocating major resources to DAppNode. Amin, Charik, probably Mohammed and Ramin. Like they're all like not full time or anything, but they're all starting to look at DAppNode. Lauren and Mitch. Marco was already participating a little bit. I'm trying to convince him to not do too much because he's got a lot of work. And then, is there anyone else that I'm missing? Fabio, who needs to do givebacks for us. So I might be pulling Fabio out when we get our givebacks designs going. But for the most part, it's really cool that our dev power is going to make all this stuff happen for them. So then it's super easy to make it happen for us. So long story short, though, we should really make sure that we should really debate in this call between the three of us what we want to present to the DAO for percent unlocked at the beginning, like the give drop, and the years for give stream. And then the rest, we should spend some time on picking one of the options that we have, I would say, and then like go with it. And then know that we're probably going to look at it again after DAppNode does theirs. How does that sound?
Sounds good. And yeah, I agree. We should talk about it, definitely to debate those points, but we don't have to finalize it right now and spend too much time on it right now because we know that we'll have an amazing opportunity to see how DAppNode's launch goes and learn a lot from that. And then after that, make a much more informed final decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it will help us to do the allocations a little bit if we know the percent locked or the percent unlocked at the beginning and the stream years. More for okay, project curation, like how much money do we want to allocate that? Or I don't know. It feels like if we had those two things and we were kind of like settled on those, I would feel good. And if DAppNode's because DAppNode's doing 10% for the node drop. So yeah, if that seems bad, then we could change it. But yeah, so let's just start with the percentage unlock, because I think that's where we have the biggest difference. You've been saying 20, Willie, right? Is your preferred number? I'm more of a 10. And then Lauren, what do you like?
I don't know. I think 20 seems too high. 10 is okay. Maybe 13. I like the 13 that we initially had. It's just a nice number, but I don't really have any good reason for that, except that it's like a little more than 10. So when people get the airdrop, it looks like a little more. But yeah. It's not too much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like less percentage at the beginning, mostly to anchor a high price in people's minds for the Give token. That comes with challenges, but the way I see it is the market cap is what people will look at. And so if we have a low initial supply, then the market cap, whatever we put the market cap at, or wherever the market cap goes, because we have no idea, right? If we have fewer tokens early, then it will raise the price, And having that price anchored in people's minds is really nice. So I like less. And 10%, so I guess the other thing is how many years we do, right? So I was going to propose 10% in 5 years, because 5 years would make it so that if we do 10%, then 90% would be, is that 90% divided by 5? Oh, come on, Siri. What are you doing here? I don't want you.
22.5%.
Yeah. 18.
18 if you have to do 4, yeah.
So there'll be after about half a year, people will have doubled their money on the sprint, and they're like, whoa, this stream is serious. The stream will be it'll mean something. They'll be like, wow, they're streaming this money to me. It gives that importance to the Give stream. And so after 6 months, everyone will have doubled their Give tokens. And they're like, this is really cool. And then another 6 months, they'll only get half of it. And then the Give stream effectively percentage-wise is, even though it's linear, the feeling of it is decaying, or the impact of it on the inflation of the economy. So those are my thoughts. Willie, what are your thoughts for 20?
So I like 20. 10% seems really low. Even 20% seems pretty low to me. I'm not aware of any other project that's done an airdrop and it said you only get 20% right now. So below 20%, 10% just seems really low to me. And 20%, it seems like it's low, but it's a little more justifiable. And the math, I think, is the cleanest math, because it would be 20% unlock, and then 4 years, 20% on the following 4 years. So super clean math. And what I was worried about was the initial circulating supply being too low, because you're right that you don't want it to be too high, and the lower it is, and the lower the market cap will look, and so you can justify a higher price. But there needs to be sufficient liquidity. And I remember when we first looked at it, I just thought that when we had it at 13.3%, the initial liquidity was just too low. And if it's too low, then that can actually hurt the price too, because people aren't willing to come buy it because there's such high price impact on even small purchases. So basically, helping to get a little bit more liquidity out there to jumpstart this, because I remember that first month too, the APR is just really super high, just because or if you want to have a lower APR, a more reasonable APR, then the amount of it would be 10x the amount of circulating liquidity that would need to be locked up. So those are the main reasons. Was just that getting a little bit more supply out there circulating initially, and then I thought people might prefer having 20%. Having 10% locked up, it might just leave a bad taste in the user's mouth when they come in and they see oh, there's a big airdrop, but I'm only getting 10%. A lot of it's locked up for years, and maybe that's okay. But to me, as a user, it might turn me off basically. Whereas 20% I'd still be a little bit maybe bummed that it's not all immediately unlocked, but it would be more justifiable. 10% just seems like a really low number.
What about what about it being a stream, right? Instead of it being locked up, does that change the vibes?
It does change the vibes for sure, but it still feels similar to me, where it's okay, well, I only get 10% initially that's streamed.
I don't think we'll ever tell people this number. I don't know if that matters. It's more they'll get a give drop of this many tokens, and those are just all of the tokens that exist, And then they also get this give stream, which is more tokens every day, and they'll know that they get. I don't necessarily want to tell them how many tokens in total they're getting. It's like that number doesn't matter really. They're getting this many tokens a week, so they'll get this rate. Yeah.
I said that to DAP Node because they're telling everybody, they want to tell everybody the amount of tokens that are locked up. It's actually like, it shows claimable and then shows like locked portion on their like initial UI that they were showing. And I was like, do you really want to tell people that number? And like Lansky was like certain that he wanted to tell people how much they're going to get eventually. Otherwise it's going to just be like all this, I don't know, questioning and I don't know, like illusions and mystery. And he thinks that it's just going to like create more annoyance to people. And it was sort of like his justification was also like the psychology of it. Yeah, it's funny. It's just the exact opposite that what you just said, which is what I thought.
Yeah, at least I was talking with Marco, and it's like the Give stream is not a locked thing. It's a stream, so there's no locked tokens.
Yeah.
That's a smart contracts like technical detail. There's no locked tokens. There's only the stream, and they just get this much stream. They get a stream is not measured in water. A stream is measured in flow. So you measure the flow of the stream, it's this many cubic feet per second, or for the Canadians, meters, right? But whatever. You would never measure a stream in like this many cubic feet in the next 5 years.
So we would show you maybe like, 7 give per week or 70 give per week. And then would we show for the next 300 weeks or something?
Yeah.
I wonder also though about so like when people are earning rewards in liquidity mining, there's also still going to be a streamed portion. It's like they get the initial claimable amount and then the stream portion. I feel like that's like a little bit more, because then with the APRs and stuff like that, if the portion is locked, the APRs are like actually like kind of low, like not like at least what we were doing with the numbers. It was like, oh, okay, initial APR of like 500%, but then it's like the claimable amount is only like 50%. So I don't know. That's also something like to consider with.
On the APR page, we will tell them, we will measure the stream in how many cubic meters per 5 years. This is true.
So you'll have a reservoir, a give reservoir for the liquidity mining, but not for the drop.
Yeah, but I don't think that will be in their face. That will be like APR, the question mark, click that. Oh, okay. Oh, there's this much, and then there's this much streamed to you for the next 5 years. Okay, it adds up to this many tokens. Okay, cool. It's kind of like the number of tokens here is derived from the base layer, which is the flow plus the drop.
So would a user's give stream change? Like if you have your initial give stream, then you do some liquidity mining, you have some more streaming rewards. Say you're getting 70 give per month now, or a week, now you're getting 75 give per week. Mm-hmm. But it okay, and it's all over the same. It's the same period, so that actually makes it pretty simple too. It's all over the same. We don't have to worry about an extra stream only lasting for 8 weeks or anything like that. It's all over the same period. So that's pretty good.
And they'd have a bunch claimable, right? They'd get a bunch that's claimable at that moment as well. So, like, it's different. It's not. I wouldn't call that the give drop though, right? That's just like their stream comes with a burst or something. I don't know. But with that framing, plus the other thing is the liquidity. The liquidity is based off of like percentage of tokens that are available more than like number of tokens that are available. So if there's not very many tokens, like the liquidity for Bitcoin is very high despite there being very few tokens, and so like if we release 20% or 10% or 50%, it shouldn't actually change the liquidity. What will change the liquidity is the percentage of people that take their tokens and add it to liquidity pools.
Right, but the more tokens that we drop initially, the more tokens can be claimed and deposited into these liquidity pools. Like if we only put a few tokens out there, then they're just and then we're releasing all these tokens as liquidity mining rewards, and just the APRs are going to be crazy, and there's not going to be a lot. There's not going to be a lot of trade action I'm worried about, or the give price would just have to be like unreasonably high to justify that, and then it would cause the price to come down as more supply enters the market.
That is absolutely the truth. There will be this inflation rate, right? So with 10% in 5 years, then the inflation rate is like the number of tokens released through streaming and liquidity mining in like 6 months, it probably doubles the supply. So now, but the question is like, so liquidity mining, if that's the only inflation, that's a lot more scary, right? Because liquidity mining is a bunch of people who are trying to make money, right? But our stream is going to all those same people that like aren't in it for the money, they actually care about Giveth. So the inflation rate, I think, is a different dynamic than what we'd be used to, because it's like, I feel like most of these people will probably go and check that once every 2 months or something. Holy shit, I got a lot of Give tokens. I should do something with that. Like, I guess I go, and this will be on us to direct them to gardens, direct them to staking pools and to liquidity pools, as opposed to Uniswap, you know? But so like, I just want to test these waters because the liquidity stuff is what is absolutely true is that we will have a higher relative inflation rate with the lower vesting percent.
Right. So I really like kind of targeting an initial circulating supply, because that's really like what this unlock percent initial unlock controls the most, basically, in my mind. There is that initial circulating supply, and then, like you said, the relative inflation going forward. And I like how before we were basically trying to estimate what would this initial circulating supply be. We're trying to forecast that, and that initial unlock percentage has a huge impact on that, right? So I like just kind of targeting. Here's what we think is the ideal initial circulating supply to have in month one, and with whatever percentage gets us that. I think is a good way to approach that. Do we figure out? Yeah. Do you guys have kind of an ideal circulating supply in mind yet?
Well, see, for me, the initial circulating supply doesn't really, like, it's just a number of tokens that exist. The rate of inflation definitely matters, and it's something to for sure look at. Especially maybe most importantly, like, I feel like the inflation to give stream people, or like the issuance to people who we're airdropping to, these are, for the most part, these are donors. These are altruistic people that are like, we're very lucky. We're so fucking lucky with who we're airdropping to, you know? There's a reason everyone's airdropping to Gitcoin, right? These are good people that aren't looking to make money. They're people who believe in like crypto. So the ratio of like maybe liquidity mining issuance and issuance to give stream, pretty interesting, a little abstract, pretty interesting. Lauren, do you have any thoughts here? Willie and I have been ranting, but...
No, not really. I'm kind of like listening and absorbing. I'll let you know if I have anything to say.
The initial circulating supply, though, it has a big impact on that APR in the first month, right? At least in our models. Because
we're not varying the liquidity mining percentage, right? Like so yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, so like, let's say Mitch's wave. This is Mitch's wave one. So like, estimated circulating supply is this. If we have 60% of the tokens pooled, then yeah, that's the APR.
That's not bad for the first month. That's solid. And what percent unlock is that with?
This is worth 10% unlock. And this is the other thing, is that we are varying this. So we're only, with 10% unlock, we're only using 40%, 40% of what we allocated for liquidity mining.
Cool.
Right.
So we got some leftovers. We got a reserve for future programs.
Yeah. And so like with Mitch's, this, I made this little chart to show the wave that Mitch was proposing. I don't know if you were in there for that call. But basically Mitch proposed, when we did our liquidity mining hack session, I kind of liked it. Mitch proposed this idea of like, let's have little spikes, get people excited about liquidity mining as we go, you know? And then like, so like, as we spike it, let people like get excited about it, put it in, and then drain it on them. And then people might want to pull out, you know? And then, but maybe they don't pull out so fast. And then we spike it again, right?
It's pretty brilliant. Yeah.
I really liked it, I have to say. And then at the end, I'm proposing it with integrating the wave proposal. I'm proposing that we drop it down so that maybe we actually start a new liquidity program, like somewhere around here. And then both liquidity programs will be going for some time, but this one will be decaying and then go to zero. And this one will probably be rising, you know, something like that.
Cool. So 10%, let's just see real quick what happens if we change it to 20%. How does that impact those APR?
Yeah. 20% in 4 years?
Yeah, in 40%. Woo! Okay. Interesting. I would actually expect it to be.
I would have expected
lower.
it to go down too.
Yeah.
Let's see what happened. Why does it say liquid APR is 1200%? Oh yeah. Give pooled. Oh, you know, maybe it's like total APR goes up. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it seems backwards.
Here's, well, yeah, that's impossible. So give pooled 4 million. So well, no. Would that change the liquidity mining in any way? Doesn't seem like it should. 4 years, 26 weeks. Did this one? Oh, good. Initial amount. Give tokens to give just went up a bunch. Okay, so this is the problem. That shouldn't be 68 million. So give liquidity program K2. I think this is. This is the problem for sure. Why is it using that LM tokens? Well, I can.
From the answer in purple here.
This should be that. Oh yeah.
$4 million. So should it be 4 million?
Yeah, it should be 4 million. So why is that? Not 4 million.
What's it doing? It's adding those. Is it just adding those?
Yeah, G25.
It says 4 million there. Now that you have it highlighted, but somehow, like when when you click on the equation bar, it shows you the answer. It was showing 4 million.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so. Oh, no, it's not adding that in. Where is it getting this? How is it not getting that? This is G25 to G29 of answer in purple here.
Yeah, and click up there. See, it says 4 million right there when you click on it, and then it changes to 68 million. But click in the equation again, right there. It says 4 million.
Why are you forsaking me?
A bug in Google Sheets? What?
This is not right.
G29.
Q.
There you go.
Yay.
Okay.
That's very encouraging, though. We found a bug in Google Sheets and not my sheet. That's fucked. That's crazy. That's not what I expected. Very encouraging, though. Okay, there we go. Hey, there's results that look right. Okay, so before it was 900, now it's 400.
Okay. And then a little smoother. The 900 isn't 10% seems fine. If you guys like 10%, I'm definitely open 10%. It doesn't seem like we need to have more initial circulating supply. And I think, yeah, to your point about the relative inflation, I guess the lower we have it in that first month, probably the lower relative inflation we'll have going forward, basically, because that first month, the initial circulating or that initial unlock percentage will be a big driver of what that inflation is for the first month. And then going forward, there will be all these other sources of inflation, give backs and, DAO, conviction DAO, initiatives and everything. So, yeah, I like having smoother inflation. So I'm cool with 10%.
And then 4 or 5 years? You like 4 years?
I like 5 years more than 4 years. I like 4 years if we were doing 20% because it's easy math, but I do like 5 years over 4 years.
Nice. You like longer?
I like longer. Yeah, we're in this for the long haul.
Yes, that's great news. Yeah, my 5 years push is like, we just need to make sure that we're in for another bull run. People are getting these tokens during a bull run. But yeah, okay. And then, well, what is, because I also like your like smooth, like you get this much up front and then like after a year or after some period, So like with 5 years, that would be like 1/6, be 16%. Okay, that's not clean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, well, here's 10%, 5 years. We got Mitch's wave. So it goes a little wild, but always stays above 100% until there. Let's see. Here's like the circulating supply to be at 300% APR.
Cool. I will say, I prefer just a smooth percent per week as opposed to, I think the waves is really creative, but I just think that it looks nice in this like model. We get these nice spikes, but we don't really know how things will play out. And so if we code this into the contract and stuff like that, we could be doing these spikes and maybe it'll have the effect that we want. But I kind of just prefer just like leaving it up to the market to find kind of the right APR. And if the APR is too low, then people will pull out and then the APR will go back up and that will attract more people to put back in. I just don't think that we know enough to be able to code in like specific percentages per week. It looks great in this model, but I'm worried that it could actually end up not giving us the results that we want. And it just seems so weird to me that like 1 minute the APR would be this and the next minute it could change. Basically all of a sudden it would just change. And it's not the market deciding how that changes. It's us, a small group of people trying to forecast the future and coding into a smart contract that can't change. I would be more comfortable just like keeping it flat, we learn, we learn from that, and then maybe we decide to do like increasing or decreasing or waves going forward. But for the first round, I don't think we know enough to be able to say this, these percentages are the right percentages. And for that, I think just keeping it smooth and letting the market kind of determine makes me feel more comfortable.
And keeping the APR smooth or relative to circulating supply, or keeping the reward smooth?
If we could keep the APR smooth, that'd be really interesting to me, but we can't really do that, right? As far as I know, we can try, but then the APR is going to be controlled by people who deposit and withdraw. And so, yeah, and I think just keeping the block reward, keeping the reward constant, instead of trying to just change it like 1 week, like every week it's just changing all of a sudden at a certain time, and without, based on a forecast, but not necessarily based on reality.
Yeah. I mean, we know we can predict the circulating supply, or we can, well, not totally, but we can at least predict the issuance.
Mm-hmm.
So we can predict the issuance and raise the APR, but we don't, but yeah, we can't really predict the actual circulating supply, like how many people are going to pull out and actually participate. So you like trying to keep it flat.
Right.
First. Okay, so I actually don't have one of those, but I think I can make one.
Cool. It'd be...
Let's make this one. Well, I guess I can just duplicate.
126, I guess, per week.
Okay. Oops. Okay, so high and then even percent. If we do this and then let's just bring it to 3 and see what happens. Okay, that's a little too much. So
just do equals 1 divided by 26, right?
1 divided, well, but even all the way, I mean, definitely at the beginning, I would hope that we have like a nice boost.
But we will get that boost just from having a lower circulating supply that will give us that boost.
Okay, we can see what it looks like.
Let's see what it looks like. I could be open for a first month boost. I could be open to that, but I think we will get that just automatically.
Yeah, we do get it a little bit automatically. I guess I'm looking at like the like change in tokens available, and like this, like there'll never be more selling pressure than the first 2 weeks ever in the history of our thing. So like making sure that we reward the people who are allowing the other people to like take their liquidity, take value out of the economy. These heroes. Okay, so I did.
Yeah.
So let's look at look at this. This isn't perfect. This is 4.8 here. So I could even do maybe. So this is really close to, this is like just the tiniest little boost at the beginning. So
should we put it back to 10%? Do we still have it on 20% unlock? Maybe let's put it back to, oh no, I think you changed it back. Okay.
Yeah, I changed it back. So, but it does have vesting of 4 years, it looks like. Oh.
That's hard coded. Nice find.
That's a problem. I think it's just this spreadsheet. I took an older spreadsheet.
Cool.
So fix it here though. Can't help myself. I have to do it. Okay. Okay, so at 400%. Oh no. This sheet sucks.
Okay.
I'm going to get rid of this sheet.
What's staff note doing for their weekly percent? Do you know?
Yeah.
Lauren?
Oh, yeah. Do you know, Lauren?
I don't know. The only thing I know is that they're keeping it constant for 2-week periods.
And then
So it's I think it changes every 2 weeks slightly.
Okay.
But Lansky's going to give me all of the information like this weekend at some point, so I'll know soon.
Cool. It definitely, one thing we know for sure is there's no right answer for this. I know. Thanks for putting that tweet out there, Griff. You could see, people had totally different opinions and
it was really
not
funny.
Not really great justification for it.
Yeah, right. Wasn't the popular opinion that the reward should decrease over time?
Yeah, and for me, I think that makes sense to me, because I think the reason, I know no one really responded. I sure responded, Griff. No one really responded for why they think that, but I think the main reasoning is that people expect the token value to increase over time, and they expect natural volume to increase. So early on, you need to really incentivize liquidity because there's not a lot of volume necessarily, but over time, if volume increases, then you don't necessarily need liquidity. Eventually, the market should determine what is the right amount of liquidity to be there based on how much volume and how much incentive there is for liquidity providers. That would be my argument, but I don't feel super strongly about it.
I think that's fair. I think that providing liquidity, if I were God, I would say that there would just be liquidity mining programs for the entire history for the next 5 years. We would have a liquidity mining program. I think the people who are providing liquidity are adding value to our economy, so we should reward them. And it's a little weird. I don't think everyone agrees with that perspective. They think that I feel like a lot of people just think economies just magically appear, and that happens sometimes, but especially for a small economy, liquidity is so important that without some kind of reward for liquidity providers,
I agree, but the reward is the fees from trade volume, right? So you're right that economies don't just spring up out of nowhere. They have to be built, and that takes effort. And liquidity mining is a great way to incentivize that and bootstrap it and kind of give a subsidy early on to encourage that, so that to help the market develop. But eventually the market develops, right? And the incentive should be just the fees from trading. Otherwise, if you have to subsidize it forever, then you have to just recognize that there's an artificial, basically, incentive that is diluting everybody else, basically, right? And maybe that's okay, but it's because you're right, it provides value, but it's just a subsidy. And I'm overall not a fan of subsidies in general. I'm more of a fan of the free market, basically.
Yeah.
It's a good debate. Oh, we should have had the debate, dude.
It's a fair debate. Okay, let's look at what this looks like. This is sorry, did you have something to say, Lauren, before I?
No.
Okay. This is what it looks like if it's flat. And this one assumes 60% of the circulating supply will always be in. It's very likely that less than 60% of the circulating supply will be there at the beginning, and that the percentage of the circulating supply that will go in will be higher because, true believers will start to sell. And at least at the beginning, the only buyers are probably because of liquidity mining. So it's people who are selling those tokens will likely be bought by people who want to liquidity mine with them. Because we're kind of saturating our user base, right? The people who love Giveth all got free tokens. Maybe some of them will buy more, but I doubt it. I think most people will only buy tokens because of these APR rewards. And so as that happens, that means that people who weren't mining, they will be selling to people who want to mine. So the real thought should be that circulating supply will increase. But this assumes 60% even. And then it just decreases. It's not so bad, 150%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if it gets, that's with that much liquidity, right? That's with the 60% circulating supply there. If the circulating supply, if people, started to pull out because the incentive was too low, then that would encourage other people to deposit. So, and what we might see actually the percent of circulating supply that's locked up decrease over time as well. But that's okay because there would be a greater amount of liquidity, even with a decreasing circulating supply percent, because the overall circulating supply will be increasing. So the overall supply.
Yeah. I mean it definitely accounts for that. I really like the first 2 weeks at least getting a boost.
Would we have to explain that to people? Because I think so. I think you need to at least clearly explain.
We need to tell them. I don't know if we need to tell them why, but we just need to tell them for sure.
Yeah. For communications, I kind of like just saying, here's how much GIV tokens we're rewarding, and here's how much percent is going to each pool, and we're committed to rewarding it over the next 26 weeks. Future programs will be determined by governance, but instead of having to say like, oh, we have all these, we're boosting it for the first 2 weeks and stuff, it just seems it's either misleading or it just seems like we have to be really clear about it, and then it's a lot to communicate. So I kind of just prefer the simplicity. And again, I think the market will determine the most efficient balance thing.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that for this bear market that we're going to run into, it really doesn't make sense to provide liquidity. Like, it would be it's a mistake because you're just going to end up being dumped on. So I'm not like, I guess I just don't trust the market that we're about to step in. That's my challenge. Okay, 1 divided by 26 is like, it's sort of an ugly number, but close to 0.35, 3/8. Okay, so this is what it looks like completely stable. I kind of like the 100% to see like, this is like the floor for the APR. This is literally like, if every token available was in there, this is the lowest APR that's possible.
Yeah, I like seeing that. I think that's pretty solid. If the lowest possible we'd have at the end of this program is about 100%, if everything was providing liquidity, that seems pretty good. And obviously it'll be higher than that.
Yeah. And what we could do is if we're doing it this way, we could kind of just adjust this and say it's 150,000 GIV tokens are rewarded to liquidity providers, right? And make that a round number. Every week we reward this many. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. I mean, I think we go with it for now, and then when DAppNode has data, because I think, Lauren, do you know what they're thinking most recently, or?
For the rewards per week?
Yeah.
No, I mean, no.
I can look at their sheet and see what they're, try to guess what they're thinking.
Pretty much boosted for the first two. Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
They got an interesting.
Yeah, I was first trying to persuade them on that. Here's the linear DN APR.
Okay.
So yeah, here's their They have that as an option. Oh yeah, here's their bi-weekly. Okay, so this is flat.
They had one that was not flat.
Yeah, but it's just a copy of one of mine.
Oh, okay.
So, I think that they're probably going to go for flat too. So we can see how it plays out, and see if we want to adjust it or not.
Cool. That sounds good to me. Because yeah, I could make arguments for increasing, decreasing, and doing all this stuff, but I don't know which one of those is the right one. And so flat seems safe to me and seems easy to communicate.
And then equal staking for Ethereum mainnet and XDAI?
That's a really good question. I was trying to figure out, do you have any data on when I was looking, and it looks like Honey, they don't have a ton of liquidity on mainnet these days, from that I could find, at least.
Honey definitely has no liquidity on mainnet.
They did at one point though, right? There was a
Sushi swap pool.
On Sushi Swap pool. Do you remember when they had both of those pools, like on Sushi Swap and on Honey Swap, which one had more liquidity?
Well, I'm assuming, no, I don't. I would assume the XDAI one would have more liquidity because I don't think they ever rewarded on Sushi Swap. They never did a liquidity reward for it.
So what do you think? So assuming we're incentivizing both pools with the same amount of tokens and stuff, and the tokens begin on XDAI, do you think we'll end up with pretty much equal liquidity, or do you think one pool will have more liquidity than the other?
I think I assume that the XDAI one will have more liquidity just because people won't have to cross the bridge, and also that's probably where Mitch made some good arguments for why we should make sure that Ethereum chain is like rewarded,
Totally.
because that's where people see, that's where people care. The speculators looking at the price want to see liquidity. Will be more legit token if there's liquidity on mainnet.
Totally.
I think there will be more dumping on XDAI. People will sell into WETH, this pool. This is the dump pool. This is the pool that everyone's going to arbitrage. They're going to sell their GIV tokens into Ether and then move the Ether over. That's what I would expect, at least. That's what I would want to do. If I felt like dumping, I would want to get the Ether and not XDAI necessarily. And also I don't really like volatile token and stable token pairs for my own liquidity mining. Like it just feels, I don't know. I like when the tokens, you have less than permanent loss when the tokens are moving together, So I don't like the XDAI pair, which would be the other option. But I imagine if people want to move off XDAI, they want to move to Ethereum. So it'd give them Ether.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And so if we think that there will naturally just kind of be more liquidity on XDAI, then should we put more of a share to the XDAI pools and less of a share to the mainnet pools? Because I imagine we kind of want like some relatively equal APRs for the different pools, maybe even a slightly higher APR on the mainnet pool because there's more work to get there. So you should get rewarded. There should be an incentive for doing that extra work. So maybe, but yeah, it's really hard to say. Like I could justify saying let's do 0.8% on the XDAI pools and 0.6% on the mainnet pools. But it's still really hard to know how things will play out. But if that's what we think, if we think that naturally there will be more liquidity on the XDAI pools, then let's give them a slightly lower share of the rewards.
Wait, for the XDAI pools should get a lower share.
Or sorry, higher share so that the APR is relatively the same. Ideally just a slightly higher APR on mainnet.
So maybe 7.5 if you want to go slightly. Go like 7.5 and 6.5 would give like, because relatively like, let's see, what is it? 0.1 divided by 0.75. It's like a 13% difference between the pools, 14% difference at this rate. Like XDI would get 14% more rewards with that change.
I like that. I like that instead of having them equal, I do like trying to forecast that a bit. Yeah.
That was my intuition as well.
Cool. Lauren, what do you think?
Lauren doesn't want to tell us what she thinks.
Come on.
I don't know. I don't have anything to say.
Dude, we're just bullshitting, okay? We don't know what we're talking about either.
Yeah, but you guys have more experience than I do. It's like baby's first liquidity mining. So I'm just like, okay, cool opinion, interesting opinion. And then once I like collect enough information, then I start to have like opinions I can fight for. But right now I'm like, yeah, seems logical.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, we ran out of time to do project. So when's the next time we can have a call to do the project? Okay. So we'll propose today or tomorrow governance call. We'll propose the the even percent. This is just even.
Cool. And then do we have a hack session coming up soon?
No, I don't think we have. That's why I wanted to see if there's like another time that we can meet. Dude, I'm so fucked right now. Let me just throw this out there. There's nothing.
Same here. Yeah. Let's see what your calendar looks like then.
No, there's nothing. There's nothing. But what's cool is I'm in Europe. So.
Oh, are you going to ECC?
Yeah.
Me too.
Are you gonna be there? Nice.
Yeah, and I got a speaker slot, not at ECC, but at Ethereum Magicians. I'm going to talk about Giveth and Shapeshift, do kind of a dual talk.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So Monday. Wait, hold on. Is there something? Oh yeah, I'm going to try to put Vitor in those slots. Wednesday. What time do you get off work on Wednesday?
5 p.m. Mountain Time.